And then for people that, especially young people listening to podcasts, like they see the state of AI, they see it in the news a lot, they see all these products springing up. I guess like for them, like what are the opportunities that exist right now?
I think there's a whole lot of opportunities now because you don't even need to know that much sort of programming to get into this whole, building a product around AI. Almost everything is available as an API through OpenAI or all of these different kind of companies. So it's more about identifying a pain point that you're seeing, your potential customers facing or you yourself facing. It's basically identifying a pain point and then using AI. If AI can help with that, then using AI to sort of solve that. It's not the other way around where you're just trying to use AI to solve a problem that doesn't even exist.
That's what I've seen is like, so yes, it's become easier than ever to launch an AI company, which has led to a lot of companies springing up that are solving a problem that doesn't actually exist. And
Right.
like they are getting traction to a certain degree because initial traction, just because they have AI as a buzzword within their business. But in order for like long term usage, like they haven't really stuck
Exactly.
around. So I guess the advice that you're giving is the same with any business that you should start is like look at the problems that exist and how can we solve that. And AI is a tool at the end of the day to solve that
Exactly.
problem.
No, absolutely. So AI is just a tool, just a technology. How you use it is what sort of matters. If you're using to solve it something which is not solvable without AI, then of course it's a great thing to have. But if you're trying to solve something where even like let's say some basic thing can help you out, like a simple script can help you out, then that's basically just over engineering that problem, right?
And I guess I know we already kind of talked about it, but how easy is it right now to actually launch an AI company?
So it's easy to build out a product right now. It's still as hard as it was before to build a company. So it's basically, you can build a product within 2 3 days, if you have development skills, or you can use those no code AI tools to kind of build things out. But it's also about a lot of other aspects, like how do you kind of position it, how do you market it, like are you talking to your customers and learning from them. So it's a bunch of different factors and criterias that come into place when building a company or a business as compared to just launching like a side project or a product, right? So if you can nail all of those things, if you talk to your customers, are kind of actually marketing it in doing sales, all of the different aspects, then yeah, of course it's sort of like a hustle for sure. So it's not as easy as you just launch something and it blows up and you're making like hundreds of millions in ARR there. It's a lot of hard work that will need to be put in there. Of course, the technology usage of the technology is much easier now, so you can kind of spin up things quickly. But yeah, as you kind of grow forward, you'll also need to go deep and build out your own custom model. So
But I guess for people listening who, so say if a problem does exist and the AI is the tool to solve it through whatever means, how can they sort of experiment with it? So like build an AI based MVP to actually experiment with it. Because I know you come from a coding background, so you can do that. But like now you've seen the world become a lot easier to actually launch an
right.
AI product. So yeah, how would you actually do that? And what would this be the steps that you can undertake?
I think there are a lot of different no code tools in the market right now, like Bubble and all of these different ones, where they already come with integrations with platforms like OpenAI. So all you need to do is basically drag and drop certain components, connect the AI piece, write your prompt inside that, and then you have your mobile app or your web app sort of ready. And that's just the MVP. Not sure it would scale up to like a big user base, but I think that's a good starting point. And then next thing is, I think the simplest thing I personally see with launching a new product is you launch it on Product Hunt or Twitter, a couple of these different platforms. So that gives you that initial traction. And second thing, of course, is the distribution as well. So if you have a prior audience or network where you can sort of um, sell it or promote it, then that of course helps. Otherwise, sometimes even the product and launches can sort of go the other way around, where
Mm.
it gets stuck in the newest list and doesn't even come to the top. So I think it's quite easy, but requires thinking about distribution and a couple of different aspects there for sure.
Mm, mm. Yeah, there's obviously like Bubble, but there's also things around like automation tools that you can build with Zapier
Right.
and things like that. There's a lot of different variations before you actually like launch your own your own thing, right? So yeah,
Absolutely.
it's become a lot easier. It's democratized. So and like your tool as well, right? Sonic is a part of that process, I would say.
Right. So I think we sort of started out as like a very simple MVP. We didn't use no code tools because I used to code, so I just build things. Um, so that's what we started out with, and then of course in the next few years or months, we sort of hired specialist or like senior developers, and improved our architecture, improved our systems there, so it's much more scalable. And now we also have our own custom AI models. We are not just reliant on open AI, of course. So yeah, it's sort of like a cycle. You start with something and then you keep on iteratively improving it based on your needs and customers demands.
The thing is, with tools like AI, like the thing that really strikes me is that traditional businesses, with when I say traditional, I mean say like physical products and
Yeah.
things like that. As they grow, their sort of like variable costs also grow, and like
Yeah.
they have economies of scale as well. Like that does come into play with things like AI. It only gets better, and the costs only gets lower, and so
Right.
you get a real sort of upward trend, and that's what's really exciting for me with this whole industry is that yes, you can spring up tools because they become easier, and they will only get easier as time goes on. So I guess for you guys being you're still a very early player in the market, where do you see the future of AI business use case going forward?
I can't predict, of course, next couple of years because things change quite fast. Something that you would have predicted to happen in 2 years is happening in like 2 weeks. So what I'll tell is, what we are hearing from our customers there. So one thing for sure would be multimodality, where the same model is able to kind of work with text and images and videos and audios and all of these different media kind of types and formats. I think that is one thing. Part of it, we have sort of built like a hacky multi-model thing into our ChatSonic, into our products as well. The second thing, I think, especially from a B2B or a brand perspective, is, I think we were discussing just before this was with something like ChatGPT, of course, you can produce content, you can do things on top of that. But a lot of it is very generic, where if someone else does it, there's a high probability that you'll get a similar response, and it's the same writing style. It doesn't kind of differentiate the writing style. So that is something that doesn't really work in terms of an actual, let's say, production level content, if you're using it for marketing or for any of those actual use cases. So that is where for brands, one thing that will come into play is hyper personalization, where their own previous content, their own writing style, their terminology. Every brand has certain kinds of terms, their style guides. Those are used to produce new forms of content so that the AI can mimic their own unique writing style and terms and brand voice and all of those things. Second thing is then sort of document aware generation, where, with ChatGPT, if you're producing something, a lot of the times it will give you non-factual information. It tends to hallucinate. So for example, if you go and ask who won the FIFA World Cup 2022, it will give you some random answer there, which will not be true there. So
I've seen that, yeah.
exactly. So it's basically kind of two things there. One is, how do you connect with real time information from, let's say if you want to write something which happened yesterday. So how do you incorporate that real time information into the mix? And second thing also is, every brand, every company has tons of data that they have collected over the last few years, right? Everyone has been collecting the big data, as they sort of call it. So how can you leverage that data to produce new content or new information, which is much more factual and sort of comes from like a verified source, which is basically that company's own data sources. So I think those two things are what we are working on. Some of these things we already have in RightSonic, but these are the things that we are working towards, and these will improve as the AI models improve going forward, for sure.